Hi, Olivia. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm really excited to have a chance to talk with you for a little bit.
I'm excited to be here. So,
Awesome. So, well, to start off, I would love to have you share at what age you got your cochlear implant and a little bit about your hearing loss history.
I was born deaf in 2000, and then I got my surgery at 11 months old, which was roughly the youngest at that time. I was also the first baby to be born at the home hospital in Lafayette after the law had been passed that babies had to be hearing checked. I was the first one to be born deaf after that. So after I got my surgery at 11 months old, I got my cochlear turned on at like a year and 6 days, and then I've had this one, the nucleus fixed for about 5 years now, and I'll have to get the nucleus 7 here in a couple months.
Okay, awesome. Well, it's it's so important, the newborn hearing screening, and also I think every year in the schools as well. My hearing loss was identified. I was born with normal hearing, but had normal hearing in kindergarten when they tested at the beginning of the year. But by in first grade, there was a mild hearing loss. So it's so important that we have, hearing loss or hearing health and test, at all the stages of our lives. Yeah, so you've been a cochlear implant recipient for quite some time. So what do you find the most often that people don't understand about cochlear implants or about hearing loss?
I think for me, the biggest question I get is what's the difference between a cochlear implant and a hearing aid? People don't realize that a hearing aid doesn't require surgery. It just picks up sound signals from within your ear, and a cochlear just transmits directly to your brain. So you require surgery for the cochlear, but you don't require surgery for the hearing aid. I just get a lot of questions in general, and I try to teach people because I'd rather have educated individuals than ignorant individuals.
Yeah.
And I find that a lot of people, they'll come up to me, and when they ask me a question, they're like, I hope this isn't offending you, or please don't answer this if you don't feel comfortable. Like, people want to learn, and I feel like we should be encouraging that, because what's the point
Yeah.
if we don't?
Yep. I agree 100%. And that's exactly why I want to do more, discussions just like what we're doing right now, because I think it's so important. People just don't understand. And a lot of times they don't have the opportunity to have a discussion like this, like we're having, or be able to ask someone, like you said, what's the difference between a hearing aid and a cochlear implant? And I think, the best description that I have come across is, a hearing aid amplifies sound. It's just like turning up the volume on a radio. But if the station is out of tune or the channel is out of tune, it's still distorted versus, the cochlear implant is actually going back and replacing that damaged part of the ear. So that's a really good one. So you are having a very exciting time right now, it looks like. So you are in the process of getting your pilot's license. Is that right?
I am. I'm currently a student pilot, but I will have my private license in about 3 months. And then after that, it'll only be like another year until I get my commercial license. And once I have my commercial license, then I can get all my hours, my degree, and then go to the airline.
Wow. That's really exciting and inspiring as well. And so I have a couple questions around that. So first of all, what got you interested in flying?
So my uncle was a air traffic controller up in Elkhart, Indiana, and every year they would have an event. Basically, I think it was called Young Eagles, and they would have pilots take children up in their planes for about 15 minutes. And this, when I went to this event, I only went once. The pilot asked me if I wanted to be in the front, and I of course said yes, because I've always been obsessed with planes. I would look up in the sky and I'd be like, oh, there's a plane. And so that just was always ingrained in me. And when he took me up, he asked me, he was like, "Do you want to fly this?" I was like, "Yeah." So he let me fly it around a little bit. And then we got back down, and, I was interested in stuff. And then it kind of just went away for a while. I was like, "Oh, I want to be a conservation officer. I want to be a cosmetologist." And then my 10th grade year, my sophomore year, I was really like, I enjoyed that. I've always loved planes, and that's honestly just what I really want to do with my life.
Wow. Awesome. That's very, very, very cool. So I would imagine without the cochlear implant or without your hearing, would you be able to be a pilot?
So there are about like 300 deaf people in the world that do have private pilot licenses, but they can only like really stay in that local area. With me, since I have a cochlear implant, I can go fly to Florida right now if I wanted to, once I get my license. And if if I didn't have it, I wouldn't be able to get my commercial license. Period. There's
Okay.
only one other person that I know of that has his commercial license that has a cochlear implant.
Wow. That's so cool. Good for you. Oh, that's yeah, I think that's such an amazing thing because I think it will help a lot of other people realize that yes, I mean we might be deaf, but we can hear, and that means that we have really no limits. We can do, a lot of things that we wouldn't otherwise be able to do. So that's very exciting. What's been the most challenging part for you?
Talking to air traffic controllers. They talk very fast, and sometimes it just gets jumbled, and sometimes they're very impatient. They have really hard jobs, though. I think it's probably one of the top 10 most challenging jobs in the world, just because if you screw up, somebody dies. So I get they're under pressure, but sometimes it's very hard to like talk to them because they have their lingo, they have the way they structure things, and sometimes it's just a whole lot.
Awesome. Well, I think it's just amazing that you're going for your dream, you're going after what you want to do. Um, what would you say to someone who feels like they're being held back in some way, or they feel different in some way, whether that's with a deafness and a cochlear implant or anything else? What would you say to them to encourage them?
Well, it's somebody who's definitely felt held back because um, I have been told, like, "Can you even do this?" Like being a pilot with a cochlear implant, if I had if I had $5 for every time somebody asked me that, I could have paid for my college already. So if they would have not said that to me, I would have just been able to do what I wanted, because I felt like I was being held back by the stigma that deaf people can't go do what they want. A lot of people don't even realize that deaf people with no cochlear implants can drive. So for a deaf person with a cochlear implant to be flying a big machine in the sky, it's like messes with people's heads.
Yeah.
So I would just say stay true to yourself and don't let other people's opinions, because if I would have listened to my dad's sister-in-law, who said she's deaf, she has a cochlear implant, she will never be a pilot, then I wouldn't be where I am today, because right now I'm flying planes and I'm proving her wrong.
Awesome. So what is it? Is there something specific that you tell yourself, or something that, like, how do you kind of shut out those words and just go forward?
I guess I just kind of think like of how far I've come. I've gotten through my darkest days. There were definitely days where I thought I couldn't do it. I fought for 2 years to get my medical clearance to even go to college. So they made me take a medical flight test. They kept just shutting my medical down, and I fought for 2 years just to get that cleared so I could go to college, because I was supposed to go in fall of 2019 and didn't get to go till fall of 2021. So I fought, and I knew that if this is what I wanted to do, then this is what I needed to do, because there's nothing that's inspired me more than aviation. So I felt like I wasn't being true to myself if I wasn't going after what I wanted.
That's beautiful. Oh, that's really beautiful. Oh, I'm so excited for you. And I really appreciate the opportunity to talk with you about this. And hopefully, this will be the first of many discussions that we're able to have. And I know that myself and everyone who watches this will be cheering you on and will be looking forward to following you and updates. So thank you so much for taking the time to spend with us today.
No problem. Thank you for having me.